Hey violists, thanks so much for tuning in to our most recent video where we talked about all the different tools that we have in our bow arm to create different sounds.
In conjunction with this most recent video, Aria and myself asked our good friend Holly to go just a little bit more in depth with you all about the physicalities of the bow arm.
Take it away, Holly.
Hello violists, my name is Hollie Dzierzanowski. I'm a violist, I'm a licensed body mapping educator, I'm a certified Eldoa trainer, and I'm a performing arts health researcher. I'm thrilled to help Lauren and Aria show you the parts of the body today that help us play the viola. When playing the viola, we end up using our entire bodies to perform, though today we are going to focus on the bones of the bow arm. There are many joints in the arm, though today we'll be focusing on the four main joints that help us with viola playing. I have a left arm here with me. We'll be focusing on the wrist, on the elbow joint, on the glenohumeral joint, and on the sternoclavicular joint. The wrist is actually made up of several joints, though we'll be referring to it as one of these main four joints of the arm. The elbow is where the ulna and the radius meet the humerus. It is easy to remember that the radius is on the thumb side because it is rad. So the radius lines up with the thumb, the ulna lines up with the pinky. The elbow joint is also responsible for pronation and supination of the arm. Notice how the radius rotates completely over the ulna when we are in pronation. I remember supination by pretending to hold a bowl of soup. So here is supination, here is pronation. Then we have the glenohumeral joint, where the humerus attaches to the scapula. This is a ball and socket joint, which allows for a lot of movement. The sternoclavicular joint is where the clavicle or the collarbone attaches to the sternum. Many musicians believe that our arms attach to the side of our body rather than at the SC joint or the sternoclavicular joint. This misunderstanding of anatomy is a common contributor to discomfort or a tight sound. You can feel this joint with your fingers by following your clavicle or your collarbone all the way to the bony protrusion near your sternum. Once you have found that, move your arm around while palpating this joint to feel how much movement actually happens at the sternoclavicular joint. Pulling a straight bow is one of the most complex motions we have to perfect as a violist. The four main joints of the arm will all move differently to maintain a straight bow with respect to where you are in the bow. For example, when you're at the frog, the wrist will have more ulnar deviation and the elbow will be more bent or more flexed. When we go to the tip of the bow, the wrist is radially deviated and the elbow is more open or more extended. There will be more pronation of the forearm at the tip than at the frog, and the clavicle may be more rotated at the tip than at the frog. The glenohumeral joint will move in relation to the humerus leading the joint. At the tip, the glenohumeral joint will be more flexed than at the frog. All of these movements adjust to string levels as well. For example, the arm will be higher on the C string and lower on the A string. The bow speed is how fast or slow these motions happen together. For example, if you want a faster bow speed, you would still follow the motion of the straight bow, but at a quicker speed. The motions of pulling a straight bow will slightly change depending on where the contact point is. Remember, when one of the four main joints of the arm moves, the others will as well. If we move the contact point towards the fingerboard, there's a slight opening of the elbow and flexion of the glenohumeral joint. The opposite happens when I pull the contact point closer to the frog with the elbow bending more and the glenohumeral joint slightly extending. Arm weight is the violist's best friend and is essential for getting a big viola sound, especially on the C string. We find this by allowing our elbow to hang from the glenohumeral joint without collapsing in the wrist. Many violists who have not found arm weight will have too much tension and will hold the bow rather than allowing the bow to truly rest in the string. The more nuanced the motions of the bow get, the smaller the motions of the body get. When we rotate our hair to get a different color or sound, we're mainly using the wrist joints and the fingers. There's a lot of motion in the wrist as there are many bones in the wrist and in the hands. There's motion between the arm bones and the wrist bones. There's movement amongst the wrist bones. And then there's movement between the wrist bones and the hand bones. All of these connections allow for tons of movement in the wrists and the hands. When we go from flat hair to rotated hair, we are primarily using the wrists and the fingers to change the angle of the hair. Again, these movements will look different depending on where you are in the bow and what string you are on. Thank you, Lauren and Aria, for having me, and happy body mapping!